Tonight we're going to make a very simple meal of rice and chicken. I picked up this Knorr's at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using that. And I picked up 2 chicken thighs at the Dollar Tree also. There's 2 pieces of chicken here for $1. So I think we're going to have a very flavorful, inexpensive meal that doesn't take a tremendous amount of effort to put together. Our first order of business is going to be preparing the chicken, and since the chicken will be shredded for this dish, I'm going to cook it in the crock pot for as long as it takes until it's cooked through. One of the beauties of the crock pot is that you can throw things in there that are still frozen, and it may take a little bit longer, but the job will still get done. So you don't need to worry about defrosting this. Alrighty, I'm going to take out these 2 thighs. A little bit stuck to the wrapper. There we go. And so as I found out, even though you can put the chicken in there frozen, separating the 2 pieces of chicken while frozen was quite a feat. I ended up running some warm water over them for a few minutes until I was able to pry them apart. Anyway, you can see there's a pretty good size thighs. Thighs are very flavorful, and they're still frozen. So I'm just gonna put them in the crock pot and throw some water on it. I'm not going to cover it with water, but I'll fill it about halfway with water, the crock pot. Let's see if you can see that. That's what it looks like. And I'm going to turn the crock pot to high and check in a couple hours. The chicken is done. I took it out of the crock pot last night and put it in the refrigerator to process today. It left about 2 cups of broth, which I have set aside, and I'm going to be making chicken soup with that, and I'll be posting that in a separate video. At this point, here's what our chicken looks like, the 2 thighs. I'm going to have to shred those. And, you know, we have the chicken flavor rice side. However, with the addition of the chicken, it's not going to be a side anymore. We also need to add to the rice, to make it, a tablespoon of margarine and 2 cups of water. I'm going to adjust the camera now down so you can see what I'm doing. The first order of business is going to be getting the rice going, and according to the directions, you put everything into the pan simultaneously. I'm sure you can do this in a rice cooker too, but I'm going to do it in the on the stovetop. Put that in there. You can see all the spices and rice and everything is integrated into the package. I'm going to add our tablespoon of margarine, and I am going to add the 2 cups of water, and I'm going to put it on. Follow the directions. I believe it says you're going to want to bring it to a boil, reduce the heat, and simmer covered for 7 minutes and let it stand. So we're going to do that, and while the rice is cooking, we'll process the chicken. Okay, the rice is cooking away, and we're going to start with our chicken. Because we cooked it in the crock pot, it is really in prime condition for shredding. It just gets very soft. So we're going to pull off the skin and leave it in here. Use a fork. I'm probably going to end up using my fingers. Just start pulling the meat off. Use my fingers. Throwing it in our other bowl. These were pretty good thighs I got at Dollar Store. You have to be careful. Sometimes you can get a big one and then a small one, or I don't know, the sizes aren't so great. I did look carefully and tried to get the 2 biggest ones that I could see. For making soup, this is the best. The thighs, the dark meat, is the best. So if you get drumsticks or whatever, you can still make broth, but it won't be as flavorful as it is when you use the thighs. Okay, so let's pull this off. Just get it all taken out. There's one. And you can see the contents of one of them is already pretty substantial. And I'm also going to be cutting some of those bigger pieces up a little bit because they're big, and I want the size of the chicken pieces to be in proportion to the rice. Otherwise, it's kind of funny. There's rice and then huge chunks of chicken sticking out. I like food to kind of be in scale. Let's pull this off. This is always kind of messy. It's greasy. Or chicken fatty or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to pull that off. Continue pulling off. Separate the meat from the fat here. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell. You can find the chicken, at least at my dollar stores, in the freezer section, way at the bottom. I really have to kind of poke around for this. This was actually at the bottom behind some other stuff. They have, you know, as I said, they have either 2 thighs or 2 legs for $1, which isn't so bad. Sometimes you just want a little bit of chicken. You don't want to buy a big package at the grocery store for, I saw them, they're like for $10, $11 for organic and not organic, and that can really bust your budget, especially if you don't have a lot of room to store food, or you don't have a freezer or whatever. This is just right for a meal. All right, I'm going to wash my hands, and then I'm going to cut this up into bite-sized pieces. The rice is finished, and it came out great. The right amount of softness and firmness, exactly what you'd like from rice. This is actually a rice and pasta mix, but all the components came together. I mentioned that our chicken pieces were a little bit big, so this is what we actually got from both those thighs, quite a bit. So I'm going to take the shears and just cut them up a little bit under here. There's a surprising amount of meat here, enough for definitely 2 people, maybe even 3. I'm just going to cut those up. That's actually fat. Toss that. And just get them into a size which is easier to put on the fork or put into your mouth. Nothing's worse than getting a big bite of something that you can't manage. So, I probably have a good 1.5 cups here of 1 to 1.5 cups of chicken, all cooked. And what I'm going to do right now, it's all been cut into bite-sized pieces, is I'm just going to go ahead and mix it up with the rice. Now, if you're going to serve this right now, I would definitely warm up the chicken, because it's still going to be cold. Even though the rice is hot, the chicken is going to be cold, and it'll bring down the heat of the entire dish. I'm going to put that in there. Just mix it up. Now, this would be a good moment if you wanted to add some vegetables to this, or other things. If you are going to add vegetables, I would suggest adding something like this. It's a pretty small profile. There are beans and carrots and corn. I've also seen this in the canned version, but truthfully, frozen vegetables are closer to fresh than canned are. They're not as processed. So if you're going to buy vegetables, try to get them frozen if you can't get them fresh. And if you can't get them frozen or fresh, then go ahead and get canned, but rinse them off well. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this. See, there's still a couple pieces of chicken that I did not cut up enough. Get in there and do a little bit more trimming. There. And we're going to do one more. There. It's totally integrated. Eat it right out of the pan if you want. I am not going to be eating this out of the pan. I'm actually going to be serving it a little later today. I'm going to put it in the fridge. So I'm going to be putting it now into this casserole dish, which I have sprayed with a spray-on oil to prevent sticking. So here it goes. There you are. You can't tell me that does not look delicious. also smells really good. It also smells very good. Here it is. I'm gonna let that cool a little bit, put some saran wrap on it, and then put it in the fridge and then serve it later for dinner. And this dish costs $2 to make, and I don't think you can find a better deal than that. Easily serves 2 people at $1 a person. Smells good, it looks nice, and you could even take it to a potluck. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice evening.